What is up, everybody? Stevie B here at Dynasty Life Fantasy Football. This video is going to be for 12 wide receivers in Dynasty that you can stash on your bench for either waiver wire pickup, a third round pick possibly, or a fourth round pick. So we'll be going all over that. So stay tuned to watch this video. Guys, hit that like, hit that subscribe if you like what you're seeing. Any comments, anything that you want to say as far as if these guys are not available in your league, maybe you need to go deeper than these guys, just drop that in the comments. Let me know, and I'll get back to you. Let's get right into it. We'll start off with some known guys that you may actually have to give up, a late pick for, whether it's a third or whether it's fourth. And we'll start right out with the guy on the cover, N.COLLINS. Let's pull up kind of what he's been doing here, but got hurt in the middle part of the season, then got hurt again towards the end. But I mean, he's getting a solid amount of targets. Obviously, there's nobody there. All they've got is Cooks, who most likely may be traded before next season starts. They were trying to trade him before the deadline. He was visibly upset. Wrote something on, Twitter, whatever it was. Don't mess with his life or blah blah blah. So I mean, he's the one that signed the contract, so you can't really blame them for it. But I mean, listen, this last stretch of games, one, two, three, the last stretch of 4 games here. I mean, 10, 7, 9, and 10. I mean, the targets were there. 5, 6 catches in each of these games. The yardage was definitely not there, but he's a threat in the red zone. He's a deep ball threat, and he's a guy that you can just kind of hold, stash on your bench. Where next year he may turn into something. You may need to start him, or worst comes to worst, you sell him for basically what you paid him for, a third or a fourth possibly. I mean, they can definitely go out and get another wide receiver. So that's definitely in the realm of possibility. You've also got Mechie coming back. There's a chance maybe they don't, uh, get rid of Cooks, and Cooks is still there. But N.COLLINS is still going to be, out there. He's going to be getting targets, so he is a good guy to try and hone in on there. So, what can you pay for him? You can probably pay, depending on the GM, you can probably pay a third or a fourth. I would offer up a fourth first, see where it's going, and then see if you can do, if you have to buy a third for him. I don't mind spending a third for him. You're not going to get anything better, I don't think, in the third round than you will, not like N.COLLINS. So, um, and the speaking of the Texans here, over here, we can look at also his counterpart, right? We can look at Brandon Cooks, which is going to be another wide receiver that you can try and stash, that you can possibly pay a third or a fourth for, just like N.COLLINS. Now, the reason why I'm saying to go get Brandon Cooks is because I think there's a good chance he gets traded. There's a good chance he gets traded to a good team, and he can be serviceable, on those bye weeks, or if you've got injuries and you need to play somebody. So he's definitely a guy that you can go out there and try and get for relatively very, very cheap. 29 years old now. I mean, his dynasty value, it has not ever really been good. Nobody wants this guy ever. But, again, he's a guy that can go to a solid contending team and actually produce for you. So that's another one there where you can buy for probably either a third or a fourth round pick. Most likely he's not going to be on waivers. So those are two guys there. Let's see where we can go into next. Not sure. So yeah, the rest of these guys you can possibly pay a fourth, or they may even be on waivers. So next guy that we got up here is going to be T.MARSHALL. Okay, 22 years old. Considered as of right now kind of a bust, but the offense is horrible. he's a big bodied guy. He's not going to turn into a top, 15 wide receiver, but again, he can be serviceable. And depending on what happens with a QB, he can get rolling a little bit. So, we saw even this year a couple deep balls. That's really all he kind of did was a couple deep balls. But he's obviously got a lot to work on. But they can get a decent QB in there, or maybe even Sam Darnold, continues to be the guy, and they start to improve. I mean, who knows? But again, not going to be a guy that's going to win you anything, but a guy that can be serviceable. And again, you can get him for relatively cheap. If they don't sign a wide receiver, he's still, it's him and DJ Moore. So, again, these are all guys that are going to have, there's chances that their teams sign free agents, and there's chances that their teams draft wide receivers as well. So, what we're doing with these guys now is just we're holding them, and we're holding them up until the draft. You don't have to clear out your bench, for you to be able to hold your guys that you draft, right? You can go in and draft your guys, and then afterwards, empty out the bench. When it says you've got too many players, you got to start releasing players. I'm pretty sure about that. If I'm wrong, let me know. But I'm pretty sure you don't have to, clear out your bench for you to start drafting your players. So, if you can put guys in taxi, you can do that as well. But yeah, so Terrace Marshall is a guy that I'm slightly little interested in. Get rid of all these other dudes or these older dudes that are some of these dudes that are not going to really do much. You want to get some guys that have some kind of upside and that can possibly give you a start or be a throw in a trade when you need it to be. So Terrence Marshall didn't really do much. Finished with just under 500 yards this year on 26 catches. So that was Terrence Marshall there. All right, let's get on with another guy, and we'll just roll down the list here. Next guy's going to be Greg Dortch. Now, yes, Kyler Murray is hurt, but we don't know what's going to happen with D Hop. Is D Hop going to definitely be back? I mean, there's a small possibility he doesn't, and you've got Dortch, acting as that number three, and you've got Marquise Brown and Rondell Moore. It's a possibility, and Dortch has been very decent in the slot. I mean, last two games, 11 targets, 10 targets. I mean, the guy is involved. They're looking to get him the ball, so he's a sneaky kind of guy that may or may not be on waivers. Again, you can get him in, with either a third or a fourth round pick. This is all pertaining to your league. And, guys, let me know if some of these guys are just not even possibly available. Just hit me in the DMs if your league is even deeper this way, or in the comments this way, I can get to you on, what we're looking at there. But yeah, Greg Dortch is going to be another one that we're looking at. Next one is going to be David Bell. Looking at David Bell, who is now solidified himself as the slot receiver now for the Cleveland Browns. You got Deshaun Watson, who is just coming back. Obviously, he hasn't played in a long time. Um, and I think going into next year, David Bell really does have a shot to be that number three guy. It could be Peoples Jones, Cooper, and David Bell. There's a chance, again, that they draft somebody or sign somebody in free agency. But these are guys that, are not going to cost you anything or not going to cost you much to just hold on to and take that chance. So David Bell, a nice little slot guy that Watson can, possibly fall in love with. So I like David Bell there. Another slot guy let's go into is going to be Khalil Shakir on the Buffalo Bills. Going into his second year now, McKenzie wound up, winning out that slot role. Then you had Cole Beasley come back. So, but Khalil Shakir in the games that he did get some action, did play good. I mean, Josh Allen is a guy that loves to target that slot wide receiver. There's a chance next year that Khalil Shakir can possibly win out in camp. Again, a guy that could possibly be on somebody's taxi or could be possibly a free agent. I don't. This one you might not have to pay, a third, maybe a fourth, again, depending on your league. But Khalil Shakir, another guy that could possibly have some kind of breakout in year two there. So, so far we've went over Nico Collins, we went over Brandon Cooks, we went over Terrence Marshall, Greg Dortch, Khalil Shakur, and D.BELL. So continuing on, let's go to the next one who, again, may or may not be on waivers. That's not what I'm looking for. Kyle Phillips wound up getting injured. And Kyle Phillips is a guy, very crisp, kind of little guy, little route runner. We're looking at Kyle Phillips. I mean, this is a guy that if they can finally just get a damn QB, okay, if they can get a decent QB, because you only got Burks there. Burks is the only guy that's going to take away targets. There is nobody else that is going to demand targets. So, that is a guy that you want to look at as possibly can win that slot role. And again, depending what happens at camp, depending who they draft, depending who they get in free agency, this is a guy that's not going to cost you much, if not anything, at all. Let's run into the next one. Is going to be Isaiah Hodgins. Isaiah Hodgins came along strong here at the end. Had some big games for the Giants. He's got 4 touchdowns in the last 5 games. 4 touchdowns last 5 games for Isaiah Hodgins. Hodgins has been doing his thing. As I'm getting into something here. So yeah, Isaiah Hodgins on the New York Giants. There's a chance this guy actually carved himself a role for next year. We've got obviously Wan'Dale Robinson, who's injured, and Isaiah Hodgins played really well. He could possibly carve himself out a little role, can possibly give you some flex play, give you some help when you've got injuries or buys. So Hodgins, another good one. Let's move over to Rashid Shaheed from the Saints. He's been on fire lately as well, playing really well over the last 4 or 5 games. So really doing his thing. And, there's nobody else there. There's Olave. Michael Thomas, I don't know if he's going to be on that team again going into next year. I don't believe Michael Thomas plays. It's very possible they get rid of him, they release him, they trade him. So far, we went over George, Shakir, D.BELL, Terrence Marshall, Cooks, Kyle Phillips, Nico Collins, Isaiah Hodgins, and Rashid Shaheed. Next one I got for you is going to be Tyquan Thornton of the Patriots, of the New England Patriots. So Tyquan Thornton, rookie, obviously last year, got some burn. They're just a horrible offense. Bill Belichick does not let them throw the ball much. But there's nobody really else there. Jacoby Myers doesn't get re-signed. I don't know. So there's just a chance that Tyquan Thornton finds himself in a good position. Do they go out and get another QB? Does Tom Brady come back? I mean, there's questions all over the place. You never know anything. But Tyquan Thornton is a guy, again, you can probably spend a 3rd or 4th round pick on to go and grab if he's not on the waivers, because he hasn't done anything. And people are very biased as to points. People want points now. And you've got people in your league that might be now gearing up towards that rookie draft and might be just throwing guys off their roster, getting rid of some of these guys that they're not going to, want to go into next season with because they got the rookie fever. They're all going to be about the rookies coming in. So you can sneak and try and grab some of these guys if they're, if they fall to waivers. Next one. We got 2 more in this category, and then we'll break out the next category here. But we got D.GRAY of the San Francisco 49ers. 23 years old, rookie, did not get much burn at all. None, like really at all. But there is a possibility that he can get some burn. This is a guy that is probably on your, on your waiver wires. You can probably throw him in into your taxi squad. Uh, if not, I don't really want to pay for him. I really wouldn't want to pay a third or a fourth for him. But again, if he's on the waivers, go and grab D.GRAY. He's a good player. There's a possibility he can start getting some burn. I mean, he's been injured, so it's been rough for him. But yeah, going into next year, a little sneaky kind of guy. Last one I've got in this particular category is going to be Calvin Austin, the little one from the Steelers. So Pittsburgh Steelers, Calvin Austin uh, was on injured reserve with the injury, so there's a good possibility next year that he could get some burn on the team. Uh, hopefully Kenny Pickett takes that next step up. So Calvin Austin is a guy that could possibly be on waivers, or you can throw a fourth at him. But a guy that you can go and get. So right there, that is what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's 12 guys that we just went over here that can possibly be on the waiver wire, or otherwise you can spend that third or that fourth on some of those guys there. So guys, thanks for tuning in. If you like that video, hit that like, hit that subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments, or if you need additional help, do you need to go even deeper? Stay tuned for the next video. I'm gonna have 8 more guys that you may have to spend around a second round pick on. So just stay tuned for that. Thanks, guys.